Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about Beyond the Gate Season 2, Episode 109. Now, before we begin, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. All right, so we start the episode off with Bill and Haley. They are at the hotel because a tree had fell in front of their house, so they weren't able to get in front of their house. She's still wondering why he doesn't have a speck of dirt on him, but he plays it off and talks about Kyle saving her life. She plays it up, and he is not buying it. She tells him that she hates to think of him being stuck in that stairwell all by himself. And then he has a flashback to him and Dani. So she asked him, what did he do to pass the time? So we go to Danny and Andre. They are at the house. She's back from taking him to the hospital. She wants him to go up to, she wants to take him up to bed, but he doesn't have it in him to walk up the stairs or whatever. So they go and sit down on the couch, and um, she's asking him how he's feeling. He says he can't feel anything because of the meds that he's on. He says he's grateful that she's okay, and it must have been terrifying for her to be trapped all alone in the elevator. She flashes back to her and Bill. She starts to feel guilty, and she's glad to be home with him where she belongs. So we see Vanessa, and Vanessa, she's talking to Donnell, and she's trying to explain what Deanna heard, but he's just like, okay, whatever. She's telling him she doesn't want him to be in the middle of her and Deanna or whatever. And they get off the phone. Joey comes out, and he says he shouldn't have blurted it out. She gives him a pass. Again, I don't know why you're not remembering that he did this with Doug, but whatever. She says they're two adults, and they they're two adults that just came through something, and Deanna should be happy that she found someone who takes care of her, and she's going to have to accept him. He says, and if she doesn't, and she says, then they'll just have to agree to disagree. So we see Smitty. He's on the phone with Nicole, talking about Martin. He's going to, and how they're going to leave the hospital. Smitty will watch him tonight, and he thanks her for being there with the kids because the kids have gone to Nicole's or whatever. So let's see. Um, she tells him that they found June, and she's with Naomi. Martin is in a rush to get out of there. So we see, and I don't have a picture of it, but anyways, we see Kat. She gets a text message from Nicole asking how she's doing. She lies and says she's good or whatever. So Ted sees her by herself. He comes and asks where Tomas is, and she tells him, oh, he had to go be with his little brother because he's part of the big brother little brother program or whatever. And Ted is just like, and he left you alone. And she was just like, I told him to go or whatever. So they start talking about Eva, and Kat is wondering if there was more that she could do, that she could have done, but didn't do. And he tells her that's not in her nature. He doesn't believe that she would do anything and, just sit there and let Eva be hurt like that or whatever. So we go to Isaiah and Leslie. He couldn't get tested because he wasn't the right blood type. She thanks him for praying with her, and he says thanks to his mom. She says something about Darlene. She says something about Darlene, and surprisingly, he takes up for his mom. They bring Eva in. She's unconscious and she's on a ventilator. Isaiah says she looks so fragile. Leslie says she's a fighter, and she tells Eva that she's there and she isn't going anywhere. So we go back to Bill and Haley in the hospital. He tells her that he was thinking of her the whole time. And she was just like, really? That's the only person you were thinking about? You weren't thinking about Chelsea, Naomi, Dani? And he was just like, of course I was thinking about my girls, but why would I be thinking about Dani? Like, why would I be doing that? We go back to Danny and Andre. They're talking about how they felt during the tornado. Danny cries. She doesn't know what she would do without him. He comforts her. Again, she's feeling really, really guilty about all of this. So that's why she crying crocodile tears of a girl. You done slept with the big bad wolf, and you gonna have to lay in that bed or that elevator, wherever you want to lay. So we go back to Kat and Ted, and Kat is telling him about the time that she said that she wished Eva wasn't born, and what if she spoke this into existence. He tells her this isn't on her. He lets her know that she isn't to blame for this. She cries, and then he hugs her. So we see Martin and Ted. They're still in the what's it called? They're still in the hospital room or whatever. But he's trying to help Smitty is trying to help Martin up because he didn't want to get the wheelchair, but Martin is saying he doesn't need help, but Smitty isn't having it. They talk about the new chief of staff and how they got a lot of work cut out for them because of this tornado. He wants to leave the hotel. He wants to leave the hospital because he doesn't want to do press from the hospital bed or whatever. So he says he's gonna go check on Ted and let him know that he's okay. So we see Vanessa and Joey. She's continuing to boost his ego about how he's a hero and how she would have felt if anything happened to him. He makes a joke and she wants him to be selfless. She lost one man already. She isn't about to lose another one. And you lost that other man due to this man, but okay, girl. Okay. So we go back to the hospital, and Martin and Smitty get off the elevator, and they see Kat and Ted, and they realize that something is wrong. Ted wants to know why he's out of his room and on his feet. He sits down. He tells them Madison gave him the go ahead. Smitty says, agrees or whatever. So then they tell him about what's going on with Eva. So we go back to Eva in her we go back to Leslie, Eva, and Isaiah. They're talking to Eva, telling her how much they love her and how she'll make it through this. We go back to Vanessa and Joey. He tells her he's not going anywhere. He talks about how good she was in the crisis. She changes the subject and wants to talk about being his business partner since she was so good in a crisis. He changes it to sex. She says that she'll be right there. She wants to text Deanna again. So we see Danny checking on Andre. um the pain has started and it's time for him to take his medicine. So he compliments her and says he can't lose her. We see Haley. She is looking into the Abbott family. She's talking about all of that. Bill wants to know why she's so interested and asks if he should be jealous. We go back to the hospital room. Isaiah wants to know what happens if they don't find a match. Leslie says it doesn't matter because she's gonna be the match, but it is what it is. We get back to Martin and them. He can't believe what's going on. The doctor comes and tells him that Ted isn't a match. We go back to the hospital room. Isaiah is trying to talk sense into Leslie, but she ain't listening. Isaiah wants to be practical, but again, Leslie is adamant that she's going to be the match and she's going to save that she or Ted will be the match and she's going to save her. They're going to save their daughter. We go back to Ted and them. Ted can't believe he isn't a match, and Kat says Leslie could be a match. The doctor says maybe, but they are running out of time. Martin wants to get tested. We go back to Haley and them in a hotel room. Haley wants to know why he would be jealous. Bill tells her he saw them spending time together even more than once that night, even before everything or whatever. And then you camped out in close quarters with him, and again, and rich men are her type, right? So we see Andre. He's sleeping on a sofa. Um, and Danny makes a call. She calls someone and she says, I need to talk to you. So we go back to the hospital, and Smitty is telling Martin he doesn't think it's a good idea to get tested because he's recovering and he's in no condition to donate. Um, Kat agrees. Ted says he doesn't want to risk one of his kids for the other, but it wouldn't hurt to get tested. If he can do it and it won't hurt him, he would be grateful. Martin says that settles it, and he's gonna go get tested. Smitty says him too. Where he goes, where Martin goes, he goes. So they leave to go get tested. So we see Vanessa. She is at Danny's house. So that's who Danny had called. She wants to know why they're sneaking. She tells her that Andre is going to be hurt when he finds out what she did. We go back to Haley and Bill. Haley can't believe that thinks that she would have slept with Kyle in a closet. He laughs and he knows she wouldn't betray him and there isn't any other man for her and he spoiled her. And she says, yeah, and there's no other woman for you. Girl, okay. So we see Joey. He's talking to his guard. He's telling them that um, Vanessa had to leave. Make sure someone is with her. The guard tells him we're already on that X, Y, and Z. Then he says, oh, and then I'm waiting for somebody, so be on the lookout or whatever. So the person comes, it's Heather. She lets him know that she's going back to London unless he wants to partner up with her. He says no. She notices a picture of him and Vanessa and makes a dig about her bleach job. She wants to know about her, but he ain't talking. They hug and he tells her not to be a stranger and she leaves. So we go back to Danny and Vanessa, and Danny tells Vanessa what happened. She says it wouldn't have happened if they weren't stuck. Vanessa wants to know if she's sure about that. Danny is adamant that she loves Andre and this wouldn't have happened before. Vanessa tries to ease her guilt, but Danny isn't listening because she does not. She needs to feel guilty for what she did, but whatever. Danny says she made a choice. Had she done this at the beginning of their marriage, of the beginning of her and Andre, then it wouldn't have been a big thing because back then they were casual. But now they are fully committed. Vanessa wants to know if she's going to tell Andre. She can't because it'll devastate him. She was going to keep it to herself. Vanessa says, "What about what would if Bill will tell?" She says they agreed, but Vanessa says you got to make sure Bill could ruin your relationship just to do it because that's the type of person that Bill is. So Danny says she's going to talk to Bill. So we see Ted. He went and told Leslie and Isaiah that he isn't a match. She says it's okay. She'll be a match. Isaiah wants to know what's the holdup. Ted says there's a backlog due to the tornado. Leslie isn't worried. She just wants to get it done so that she can, get it over with and give her baby a liver. Isaiah says if she isn't a match, the hospital is bound to find someone. And Ted says, or another family member. And Martin is getting tested. So we go back to we see Smitty and Kat. They are talking, and Smitty is telling, Martin kicked him out. There was a bunch of people there, so it just didn't make sense. Since I guess he had already got tested, so he had to go because there was a lot of people there or whatever. So Kat is worried if Martin isn't a match. He tells her they still have Leslie, and she says um, if they rule her out, she's the only other option. He tells her if that happens, she'll do the right thing. No matter what, no matter how she feels about Eva, Kat wishes she had his fate. She isn't sure what she would do. She doesn't want her to die. But they hate each other, and being trapped together didn't change that. Smitty says he wishes they had more blood relatives. She says they do, and she calls Andre to tell him that they need him. So we see Vanessa. She's back at Joey's, and he wants to know how things are with Danny. She doesn't say, but he tells her that Heather came and she's leaving, and he may have just seen her for the last time. So we see Danny. She's coming down the stairs, and Andre is trying to get up. She wants to know what he's doing, and he tells her about Eva. Even though he can't donate, he wants to be there. He can't move around. And Danny tells him that she will take him there in the morning. He needs to rest, and he falls back asleep. And Danny tells him sorry, or whatever. So we see Haley playing her role as, the gold digging wife, and Bill falls for it. They start to kiss and they about to do whatever they about to do. So we see Eva, she gets taken to get tested, and the doctor comes in and tells them that Leslie wasn't a match either. She and Isaiah start crying. Isaiah comes out sad and they ask him what happened. He tells them Leslie isn't a match. Martin says they're the only family left to be donors. Kat says Andre, and Isaiah tells them that Andre couldn't donate because of the meds that he's on. Martin tells Kat, "All right, then go get tested." She hesitates. Isaiah asks her to do it. Smitty tells them, give Kat a minute. Martin says, "No. What is there to think about? A blood relative is the most likely to save her life." Smitty tells him that's not true. There's a possibility that anybody could be a donor. Martin doesn't want to hear it. He says, "So everyone wants to do their part but you." And he's talking to Kat at this moment. "Are you going to let Eva die just so you don't have to share a father?" Kat tells him, "Go to hell." She should have said more, but whatever. Smitty tries to calm them down, but Martin tells Smitty, "Let her speak her mind. Maybe once Princess Cat, the miracle baby, can get it off her chest and grow up and do something right for a change." She tells him it would be nice that just for once he would give her the benefit of the doubt, and not doing this out of pettiness or bitchiness, and that she might have a legit concern and fears, and to consider her feelings for once, like a big brother would. But that would be too much like right, and she walks off as Isaiah calls to her. So that's how the episode ended. Um, yeah, y'all know how I feel. I Martin can kick all the rocks. I wish Kat would have told him go to hell and so much more, because that venom that he spoke to her when he was saying Princess Cat and all of this, it was just like, so you always disliked Cat for being the miracle baby. Like, the fact that you would throw that in her face, "Oh, the miracle child and Princess Cat," as if you aren't the only grandson that's a favorite that stay up your grandparents' ass because you act like you don't have parents. But yeah, so I did not like this. I didn't like this not one bit, not at all. And unfortunately, there is more that I'm not going to like to come. But yeah, that was the episode. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. Get down in the comments. Tell me what you guys thought of this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.